Hello everybody, it's Aaron. Welcome to another episode of SolitaryCraft. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not real happy with my last episode, but I did so much that I felt like I would be skipping a lot if I didn't upload it. So I'm gonna upload it later. I have to record now because I'm having some sound issues. I think I'm gonna reload my machine after I record the footage. We have 12 Iridium and it's been about I don't know, 48 hours. I've just left my little server running since I made the last episode. We need more power. That's all there is to it. I've been doing a little bit of reading, and there are two ways we can do this. We can turn the geothermal generators, of which I added a few more, into semifluid generators. And remember all that fuel that we refined. We can pump the fuel into the semifluid generators for 32 EU per tick, which will give us whatever 7 times 12 is. We'll have that much more EU per tick. Or we can use Engineer's Toolbox to convert RF to EU. And it's kind of an involved process. So I want to see if we can get this done, and I also want to try to make the semi-fluid generators, which shouldn't be a problem because I have all the pieces. We just have to craft them and then set them up and put a fluid export bus on a tank right here and then dish out the fuel to all the generators. So Engineer's Toolbox is pretty cool. It is also pretty hard to understand if you haven't played around with it. It's very versatile. You can do a lot with it. So the first thing we need to do is find out where we can set this machine up to power. We may be able to do it in here. Yep, we can do it right here. So what we'll do first is the way Engineer's Toolbox works, and like I said, I'm not super familiar with all the aspects of it yet. I'm just starting to kind of dabble. You have your modular socket, and then you put components on it to make it do what you want it to do. So if we put a modular socket right here, hopefully I have enough room to do all this, and we put an energy input on the back of it, we're going to need to replace our conduit, and now it connects. We're going to need 2 item inputs. We're going to put 1 on each side, and then we're going to need the multi-smelter, which we'll put on the front, and the machine output, which we'll put on the top. Specifically, we have to make a thing called a sweet red ingot, or sweet redstone ingot, excuse me. There's no recipe for it, but basically what you do is you take redstone and sugar in the multi-smelter specifically, and it'll cook them into sweet redstone ingots. So I have an extra modular socket and an energy input for what we're going to do later. We have to use this socket remote to change all the variables on this thing. So what we need to do first is we need to get a couple of chest or strong boxes. We'll use strong boxes since we have a few of them. We're going to need item ducts as well. And I'll just probably just use levers instead of putting servos on them because we're only going to have this set up for a few minutes. I'm going to make a stack of the sweet redstone ingots, or maybe we'll make a half a stack. I don't think we're going to need them for that many things yet. Specifically, we need to make this EU adapter. There's also an MJ adapter. And Engineer's Toolbox actually has solar panels itself. You see they generate 5 RF a tick. Then you can output that RF, or you can turn it into EU, whichever you want. It also has ways to store that RF, so like I said, you can do a lot of things with it. So we'll put the boxes there. Before we do this, let's take our socket remote, and I just happen to know that the green one is for the inventory. So we're going to right click this one. Now you see that, well, if I can get the thing to stay up on the tooltip, the item input on the right is input 0 right now. We want to make that one 1. It has 3 inventories inside it, and they count up from 0, so it's 0, 1, and 2. So we want to make the one on the left 0. The one on the right will be 1. And then this output, I believe, needs to be 2. And for the tank here, we want to make one of these 0 and one of them 1. I don't think it really matters which one we do, but I want to do it to the corresponding side. If you shift right click, it goes through your colors of your socket remote. Okay, so if my tooltip will stay up, maybe it's because I'm morphed. That seems to cause some problems. Yes, it is. Okay. It says error. I don't know what the error is, but you can see the machine output on the top face is set to 2. The north item input is 0. The south item input is 1. And the multi-smelter is set to 0 and 1, which corresponds to both item inputs. The error may be that we haven't set anything for our power. So if we come back here, we're not going to be able to see it, but we can change the energy input. I set it on 100 while testing, so we'll just set it on 100. We'll put our item ducts down, and hopefully this works. I did not have that thing that said error when I tried it in testing, so let's hope. We're also going to need something to pull it out of the top, which just now occurred to me. So let's put another item duct. We will put a servo on this one because there's really no place to put a lever. So we'll do servo there, and we'll get another strong box. Hopefully we can still open that. We can. We'll put the servo in there. Actually, I think that lever's hitting it, so we may have been okay. So hopefully, if we cross our fingers, this will work. And that thing fired up, which means it is working. We should see a sweet redstone ingot shoot out of the top momentarily. Yep, there it goes. Look at that. Beautiful. I'm so glad this worked on the first try. So if we come back over here, what we need to make, I've already got a modular socket. I have an energy input. I think we might actually need an energy output, which looks like the little socket. We'll make one of those, and we need to make the EU adapter. I probably have everything except for the slabs in here. I actually do have slabs. So we'll put our sweet redstone ingot in. And I think we have to manually put the slabs, no big deal. There is our EU adapter. So if we get some conduit, I think we can, let's see, I probably have some around here somewhere. I didn't want to run it across the room necessarily. Maybe, let me see, there's nothing there, so we can just run it right here. So we're going to need a little bit of room for this. and I don't think that this is going to be enough room. Let's do it this way, since I may actually leave this set up for a little while. Let me turn back into a bat, kill that creeper, or blow the creeper up. Either way, I guess. And we'll just set the thing up down here, and then we'll hook it into the glass fiber cable. And apparently what I need to do is block this area off so nobody can get in here. Alright, so let's build this backward. I think if we put our, that's not what I wanted, we'll put our EU adapter right there, and let's put it there afterward. We'll put our modular socket here, put our energy output on top, and then we'll put our EU adapter, hopefully. There's our EU adapter. Now we're going to want to put our energy input on this side and then hook up the conduit to it. And before I do this, let's disconnect this glass fiber cable so we can verify that we're getting power. I tried the EU reader, but it didn't seem to work. So there goes that. We getting anything yet? We are getting power. So we are now successfully converting RF through the engineer's toolbox to EU. I really don't know how much we're getting, because like I said, the EU reader didn't work. There was really no way to read it. But every little bit helps, and I think the progress seems to be counting up a little faster than it was before. I also added Igneous Extruders instead of exporting cobblestone. I figure we'll save the cobblestone if we want to make the quantum network thing for applied energistics. So we are now burning MJ to run all this stuff, which I think is pretty cool. It's not quite as easy as power converters, and you have to set some things up. You can also make, there's an energy storage upgrade, and pardon me, I don't know what any of the things look like. I can't tell. Advanced energy storage upgrade, which I believe will increase the throughput of this. And we actually may be able to... I really don't know if that's hurting or helping, but the one bad thing about the engineer's toolbox is you cannot right click and interface with it. You know, you can't see what's inside it. So you have to get everything set up just right and really know what you're doing, or I guess you could play around with it until you figure it out. But there's a pretty high margin for error, and it's not very forgiving about telling you what exactly you did wrong. And you know, the thing says error right now, but it's obviously working because we have power. Well, we did have power. I probably just messed it up by doing that. Yeah, I did. Now we're back. Basically, the red input has to match the red output. I think they're just different frequencies, and I'm not sure what the purple is. So there is our neat little way to change RF into EU. I also would still like to make some semifluid generators. So I think I have enough time. The main part of this was knowing how to make the sweet red ingot, since like I said, there's really no recipe for it. I did make a little backpack, and it's already empty. I actually had to replace my generators when I restarted the world today, also in addition to the bat box and both of the metal formers. So I know that this is still in development, and like I said, it might just be an issue with this chunk, or maybe it's a chunk loader or dimensional anchor plus the machine issue. But either way, it makes it very tedious when you have to break and replace the machines. When I say break, I mean pick up. I didn't hit it with a pick. I actually did it with my wrench like I'm supposed to, but you get my meaning, you know. Everything should work already. If you disconnect and reconnect or close your world and then go back into your world, you shouldn't have to put your machines back down. So if anybody happens to know a possible reason for that, I'd be interested to hear it. Okay, so let's get rid of not enough energy. Where does it go in here? There we go. I guess I gotta charge it up all the way to get the thing to work in the first place. Yep. Okay, hopefully this will pick up the rest of the machines. I think it used, when I looked, somewhere around 10,000 per use. So, yep, that did get us. So let's come up here. We'll do semifluid. We have to make these universal fluid cells, which are different than the regular cells. You can see the recipe. We're not going to be able to make all of these right this second because I'm going to have to wait for the rest of my tin item casings to... Oh, look, I did make them all. Alright, cool. I didn't think it was going to make it, but alright, I'll take it. So we can put some of our biofuel in here, but we get more out of it with fuel. I'll show you the difference. This is why I wanted to do it with the fuel. If we look at the fuel, where's a cell of it or something? You see 128,000 EU at 32 EU per tick in the semifluid generator. If we look at the same thing for biofuel, if I can find it, it's only 32,000 EU at 16 EU per tick in the semifluid generator. So I didn't know what I was going to do with all that fuel, but I figured it out pretty quick. And maybe we should do fluid ducts instead of item ducts on these. So I'm going to use the ME to put this into a portable tank, and then we'll have the portable tank kick it out into the fluid ducts. Hopefully. And since we've got some cable right here, we'll just put our portable tank on this side. We'll wrench it, and then we have to put our fluid export bus on the top of it. And how about we just run the cable over the Igneous Extruder. If you're not familiar with the Igneous Extruder, it doesn't take power. You put in a bucket of lava and a bucket of water, and it'll make you cobblestone. And then you have to, I think, maybe pump in the water to make stone, maybe pump in both to make obsidian. I've never used it for either of these two purposes. I only have really used it to make cobblestone to recycle. So we've got our fluid export bus. Let's get a fuel cell. I cannot put it in a cell. I bet I could put it in a can. Pretty sure I can put it in a bucket. bucket of fuel, and we'll set the bus to export fuel. That is a fluid export bus, right? Oh, it is moving. It's just the generators are sucking it up so fast we can't see it move. So all of these guys are filling up. Let's hook our cable back up. And before we do that, we'll take a look at this. We'll see if we can tell a difference in the progress. It's about 4 seconds in between each percentage point. It is definitely faster with scrap. It's hard to tell, like you cannot compare the progress with scrap to the progress without scrap, simply because the scrap amplifies it. But that is much faster than it was before. So I think I'll turn this up a little bit. It's going to use a little more RF per tick. I'll just get the tank full, and then I'll turn it down. Maybe that'll keep up, maybe not. I guess we'll see. But these guys are humming right along. So I think this will significantly increase our progress. And I think we need about a stack of iridium to make our first ultimate hybrid solar panel. We're going to have to make that molecular transformer anyway. One of the things we need to make the solar panel we can only make with this. So I forget what it is specifically, but we definitely, I think we can make all this other stuff. I think the Cenarium we have to make in there. I was looking at the Iridium Recipe. It takes 9 million EU to make a Cenarium. It also takes 9 million EU to make a piece of iridium. And what you do is you put a piece of iron in the molecular transformer, give it enough EU, and then you have your iridium. So apparently we could have made iridium without all of this nonsense. But, what are you going to do? It's just one of those things that you discover after the fact. So I may have to add another recycler because this thing is going to burn through the scrap very quickly. But we're making good progress even without it for a very small setup. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.